All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am James Oliver Jr., co-founder and CEO of Kabila, an inclusive co-founder matching app and community of badass BIPOC and women founders, connecting them to each other in capital. So we got a great show today, as usual. A little bit of housekeeping. If you're listening to sound of my voice out there in the chat, just go and drop in the chat. Let us know where you're listening in from. So a couple things. Kabila, we just launched our co-founder matching app MVP. Yay. I think it was like Guy Kawasaki who said real CEO ship. I'm going to go on a limb and say that makes me a real CEO. I don't know. But we shipped, MVP, and I think it was Reid Hoffman that said if you ship and you're not at least a little bit, embarrassed, I wouldn't say we're embarrassed, but got a little cringy thing going on. You waited too long to ship. So that's it, man. We're out here. You can go to joinkabila.com. If you're looking for a co-founder, you can download the app, learn more about our app there, download it. It's our MVP. I like to call it MVP as in not very pretty, but actually is pretty for an MVP. And then next week, we are doing another conversation, Kabila conversation with my technical co-founder and CTO, and Aline from Ambitious Labs to talk about how we use Flutterflow we scrapped our code and used Flutterflow, a no-code tool, to build our app MVP in a couple of weeks. So, go to joinkabila.com. You can learn more about that. Anyway, that's not why we're here. I just want to do some housekeeping. Here today, I'm excited because we have Keith Kamhai, Managing Director of Techstars, and Gemma Lenowitz, who is the Program Director of Samvid Ventures, and Keith, Managing Director of Techstars Economic Mobility Accelerator, powered by Samvid Ventures. That is a mouthful. I apologize if I screwed any of that up there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How y'all doing?
Terrific. It's great to be with you. Thanks.
Yeah, so we got, who's this? Reg coming in from Massanutten. Hello, Reg. Where are you coming in from, Reg? Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, Reg from Atlanta. Coming in from Seattle. Yes, that's what's up. We got folks from India, Mumbai. What's up, Anisha? I'd love to see. And Tawana. Atlanta represented strong. That makes sense to me because I live in Atlanta, right? That makes sense to me. I'm also a recent Techstars alum. So I'm super excited to introduce your program to the folks out there because I didn't know what it was. And when I found out what it was, this is really important. And, I know you have applications closing here on Wednesday of this week. And folks need to connect with y'all and learn about what you're doing. And as I always like to say, you guys have X number of slots and Y number of people applying for X number of slots. Y is always greater than X, right? And people need to be able to help you connect the dots because investors invest in lines, not dots. And you need to build relationships with folks if you want to get into programs like Techstars. So welcome. Sorry for all the talking there.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So we got a bunch of questions. Folks, if you're listening out there, if you could please share this, whatever social media platform you're listening on, watching on, or hit the share button on your computer, your cell phone there. Just share this out with your friends so they can come on in and join us as well. So let's talk about the program. Like, what exactly is it, the Economic Mobility Accelerator? Like, what does that mean?
Let me let Gemma talk about the themes because they're the sponsoring partner that set the themes, and I can talk a little bit about Techstars to follow to the extent the audience doesn't already know all about that.
Sure. So we know there are a lot of nonprofits out there supporting low and moderate income Americans. We think there's also a really important role for social enterprise and private sector businesses to play in supporting low and moderate income Americans. Right? We've seen a rise in neobanks or challenger banks. There are lots of new apps you can download to help you manage your finances. There are now apps you can download to learn, to gain skills, to get a different job. We want to support entrepreneurs who are thinking about how to build economic mobility for Americans in ways that respect the dignity of Americans and create real opportunity. So we're thinking about low and moderate income individuals and communities across the United States, looking for founders who are focused on the US market and have some kind of visionary idea about how to improve the day-to-day lives or reduce the costs. As we know, things are getting wildly expensive with inflation. We are based here in New York City, where the cost of living is already incredibly high. And our education system does not deliver on its promise that, if you sit in your seat and pay attention, that you're going to get a job that allows you to afford the finer things in life, much less sometimes your basic cost of living. So we're excited to support these entrepreneurs. I'll talk a bit about the three themes that we're really looking for. The first is education. So technical education, we think there's a huge role for skills to play in helping people advance in their career. Entrepreneurship itself is a skill. There are lots of other ways, we think particularly in STEM degrees and other technical areas that we can help people advance, get into jobs that feel purposeful and pay a meaningful wage. The second theme is financial inclusion. So products that relate to banking, saving, or lending, and helping people who have not necessarily been served with the best products to date. Looking at, the history of treatment of low-income individuals in this country, there are too many stories of inequity and injustice. And so we're really looking to find entrepreneurs who are thinking about taking on some of those big problems. The third category is economic resilience. So we're interested in founders who understand that there are so many ways to support an individual or a community beyond just a paycheck. So that could look like benefits, increasing access to nutrition, housing, healthcare, support for individuals with disabilities. There are just so many opportunities out there. It's a big market. So I'll turn to Keith to talk about how we're actually going to support those founders.
Yeah, that's terrific. And so you can see why I was motivated to join this program. I've been at Techstars for about 5 years, and I've been I used to manage all our programs. So I was the head of accelerators for Techstars, and I left the dean's office for the classroom a couple of years ago to start working directly with the founders myself. I'm an entrepreneur my whole career before
Who runs the program? Who runs the accelerators now? Because as you know, I went through Techstars Austin. Who's running all the accelerators now?
We have 3 regional general managers who run them, and then they report up to our CEO. So we've got Nate. So our regional general manager is Nate, who used to run Alabama Power for us. I don't know if you ran across him at all, but Amos, your former MD, is part of the Western area who works with Rachel as the general manager, but we had a few people running it. And so I started focusing on our social impact programs a couple of years ago, first with a program that's funded by Melinda Gates's fund. And then when this came along and the Samvid Ventures team was kind enough to tell me about it, I obviously jumped pretty quickly at getting involved with this program. It's going to be, we've got through our partner, this is kind of the best of both worlds program, because we got the broad opportunity to do something in New York, one of the hubs of venture capital, and with a partner who's connected to not only an important, impactful theme that's going to draw in other like-minded companies, but that draws in incredible thought leaders. I've just been blown away by the people and organizations they're able to bring to bear on the accelerator stage. So this is a marrying up of Techstars' strength at working with very early stage companies at scale globally, and Samvid Ventures' insight and strength and interest in helping companies working on this category to catalyze change. So that's what I'm very excited about. I won't belabor what Techstars does, because your audience that might be interested probably already knows that, but we run 3-month accelerator programs to help you see around corners, get mentorship very quickly, help you work on the business instead of in the business, and set a new trajectory that can help you grow faster and avoid dead ends, and give you a little bit of capital in the process.
Love that. So here's Dana. So Dana is a member of my Kabila community. So she's in San Jose, and your app's coming this evening. Super excited to hear that, right. Dana. So that's ujama.financial. So that's in the fintech space. So she said she's applying. Hey, Dana, have you applied yet? Can you drop that in the comments? Let us know. Eric's coming in from Long Island. I grew up in Brooklyn. So what's up, Long Island in the building? So here goes somebody else with a question for you, Keith. Guys, just drop your questions in, and please don't be shy. Drop them in. We'll get it to them, as many of them as we can. I have some questions, but I'd rather answer y'all's questions instead. I was wondering if you could speak more in a recent post about the importance of working on your business versus in. What does that look like, and how might it be counterintuitive? It's actually not counterintuitive at all, man. You'd rather be working on the business than in the business, in my experience. Unfortunately, we're still working in the business because we're still pre-seed, but I'll be quiet and let him answer the question.
No, and it's so important. And so A, great question. And B, I want to highlight a great founder trait of figuring out a way into talking to, whether it's Techstars or any investor, is be familiar with what they're talking about. So you're not just spray and pray when you're going for investment, but you're going after targets. So there's someone evidencing that they actually read our LinkedIn page and know what we're posting about. So
love that. That's right. Shout out to Eddie Mazariegos. That's right. Shout out to Eddie.
Being the role model of what we teach in program when you're talking to investors, like actually know what they do. So thanks.
But you're being funny, but that's very serious.
Spot on.
So serious.
Yeah. You got to cut through the clutter, right? So investors' inboxes are flooded. One of the shortcuts they use to cut through the clutter is just getting a warm intro. So that's, if you know someone who knows your target investor, that's really good. Not everyone does, especially when you talk about economic mobility spaces and things like that. Like that institutionalizes some of the biases in venture capital when you rely on that. But doing your homework is a great equalizer too. Go look up and find out what your potential investors have blogged about recently. Read their websites. They're actually trying to advertise what they're looking for. So tie into that.
Can I give you a cheat code on that? Something I just did recently. This is incredible. So one of our angel investors, he's actually an LP. He's invested in one of the Techstars funds recently. He's an angel investor in Kabila. And he's been really doing great work with ChatGPT. So he helped me put together. So I already had a list. I had a list of successful Techstars founders who exited. And I want to reach out. And they're also angel investors, right? I wanted to reach out to them. So I had ChatGPT put together an email, but in the email, I had to create a hook to connect Kabila to either them personally or their company. If they had the personal hook, we had that supersede the company hook. That thing was amazing. ChatGPT did that. So y'all, you can join my Kabila community. Let me put the banner up. I had that posted in the community. You can go to joinkabila.com and click the community. It's free. Join the community. You can watch. I showed exactly how we did that. And then I used a mail merge to send out this thing called YAMM, Y-A-M-M, yet another mail merge, to send out the emails in bulk right from my Gmail account.
Brilliant. Yeah. And, on the one hand, that's a clever hack. On the other hand, it's really very smart too, because two things happen. You also end up weeding out ones that aren't going to be a fit at all. Because if you can't find something that, obviously you want to look at it before you just send the ChatGPT.
I did.
But
Yeah.
And then once you do that, though, you're doing yourself and the investor a favor, right? You're telling them you're telling that investor group, you're telling them why they ought to be looking. And again, if there's no match, you're just wasting people's inbox space, and it not helpful. But if there is, then pin yourself to their themes, not just being general, because you don't want a false negative of not having told them why you're relevant.
No, that's right.
Yeah. And so
I did double check. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, sorry, I didn't answer Eddie's question, but I was calling out his next question, which was pointing out.
Let's do it. Let's get back to him. Sorry, Eddie. We'll get back to it.
Yeah. So the question on working on the business versus in the business. So this is so important as an early stage company, right? So there's more to do every day. Your to-do list is up to the roof. And what happens is, even if you're starting, at those early stages, when you're starting to get some ideas, you got some traction, you got some reason for doing this. It's not just a hobby on the side. You're getting real about it. And you're going to now invest some time and effort in building something, and some time and effort in selling it to someone, and whatever stage you're in that kind of pre-seed stage. Oftentimes, almost all the time, there's not enough time spent on making sure you're working on the most leveraged thing. So for instance, I'll just give you a go-to-market example of that. There might be 15 different market segments that could be your first one for this market. Maybe you've properly investigated 2 or 3. Maybe you just took the first customer that came to mind for you to go after. Maybe you took the first one that said yes to you and went after it. I'll tell you a bad story of this. I was doing a fitness tech company, my first startup, and we had the bad fortune of our first customer being the New York Knicks. The bad fortune, because it was a great first customer. Oh my God, we got the New York Knicks to want to sign on. And we didn't even pause to say, was this a smart thing to do? Because it's the Knicks. Of course, it was good for marketing either way. But had we secured every pro team, And then every college team, we still hadn't built a real company yet. It's not big enough. And our ultimate go-to-market after multiple iterations ended up being more of a healthcare play, going to YMCAs and hospitals and others. Wasn't even thinking about that. And so had we been surrounded, had we taken a step back, we still might have done the Knicks because we got some free tickets and they were pretty good that day.
Of course,
Ewing was playing, so they were still good, right? It was before, and it was great marketing, but we wouldn't have invested a lot of effort in thinking that was a go-to-market. And that's what mentors can do. So you take that step back, like you went through Mentor Madness for several weeks, where you get a lot of mentors looking at your model and giving you quick ideas and saying like, oh, you know what, that's an interesting market, but there's a lot of roadkill down here. Have you thought about this? And by the way, there's market over here that you might not have even thought about that is looking for your solution today for preventive healthcare, whatever it might be. And I know some people in that. Well, that ability to come, periscope up and look at the big picture for a second and take a few weeks, slowing down. These mentor meetings are going to take up time. So that's the slow down part. That's not the counterintuitive is you ever have time as a startup to slow down. But if you can get that trajectory reset and start working towards things that are going to be more leverage for you in the long term, you're going to be in much better shape. And so you're building traction towards something that's more viable. And then we start teaching you how to tell the story about it, which is also slowing down to speed up. How do I, instead of just dribbling out to investors when they come in, how do I do a ready, set, go to investors and really slow down, get it right, and then explosively go to market? I'm doing a seminar on that tomorrow for Techstars. But those two things are taking a pause before you invest all the time and effort. There never seems to be time for it, but it can cut years off your trajectory. That's what we mean by that counterintuitive working on versus in.
Yeah. So I also like to think of one of the things that we talked about in Techstars Austin. I think this might have been from Amos's book, the W3.
Yeah.
Who's your customer? What do they buy? And why do they buy it?
Right.
That's an example of working on the business and not in it.
Totally. And we do that. So in week one of our program, we use Amos's chapter as part of this week one for us. So we draw from a lot of the Techstars best practices around the world back from when I was managing. And we have a whole vision to execution mapping strategy effort that we do. So the Levers book is part of it. Traction book is part of it. Other Techstars best practices, where we'll go all the way from your broad vision of what impact you want to have on the world out to your next two fundraisers, milestone 2, milestone 1, out into your W3, who's your customer, why, and what are they buying from you and why are they doing it, down into your KPIs, and then all the way to week execution.
Yeah, that sounds like a really simple question, the W3, but it's really not. It's hard.
No.
It's hard.
Simple can be very hard. It's hard to be simple. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm just trying to get through like a thought of comments here. Jacqueline's here from Dallas. So Jacqueline, Dana just finished her team video and app demo. So application coming tonight. Yes, that's what's up. So this is great. Like Dana, when you apply, you should mention that you just listened. You met them at this event today. All right, Keith and Gemma, are you reading applications too?
We are, yeah. We're excited to offer some support to founders in preparing for their interviews. So if their application is favorable, and it is a very selective process, it's been a competitive round already, but we'll give each application a fair view, and the ones that rise to the top will also get time, with Keith or with me to prepare them well for the screening process. And Keith will share more info about that to all the applicants on email.
Yeah. So I think the important thing here, in addition to what Gemma just said, is that if you're applying, mention that you learned about this program from this conversation, right? You like what they said about X. So, you dropped a comment. So now you're helping them to connect dots with you and start to build that rapport. Because I always like to say, like, look, so how many people get into the cohort?
You have 12 spots.
Right. So 12, couple hundred applications easily, right?
Yeah, we don't do application numbers, but it's we have a lot of applicants for the number of spots available. Yes.
Right, exactly right. So the likelihood of just being able to roll up off the street, as I like to say, and get in is very low. It just is, because more times than not, they already have founders that probably didn't get in the last class they really liked, or they were on their radar from last class who had more traction this time, who weren't ready then, they're ready now, or somebody who went through before is recommending a friend. So they're going to take a hard look at that application. So it's about relationships, folks. This is what I'm saying. So, follow. So I put you up there. Follow Techstars Economic Mobility, right? Engage with that content. Follow Keith here on Twitter. I apologize. I looked for you, Gemma, but I didn't see you on Twitter. But they can also follow you on LinkedIn, which somebody just said they are following you on LinkedIn. I can't remember.
That's great. James, can we flip a question on you? I want to learn more about how Kabila could support people who are interested in economic mobility, but they might not yet have a co-founder.
Oh, say that question again, please.
So if someone is passionate about, well, it could be any topic. If someone is passionate about financial inclusion or e-commerce, whatever it may be, and they want to get started running a business, but they're looking for a co-founder, is Kabila the place to share those passions and find somebody who's like-minded?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you guys are focused on inclusion. At the core, what we do at Kabila is inclusion as well. So what does that look like? I mean, we're not running around talking about inclusion, but we're more so building it into the product. So, we don't show people's pictures, their names right up front. All that gets revealed as you interact with people and or you connect with them, but we're focused on things that matter, like vision, mission, values alignment, and skills alignment. We focus on those things. We're not focused on where you work, where you went to school, because those are the things that perpetuate the nonsense we see going on out here right now. And not for nothing, one of the reasons we started Kabila is because inclusive or founder teams of more than one gender, race, or ethnicity actually provide investors a 30% greater return than the stereotypical homogenous founder teams we see today. So inclusion matters a ton. And that's why we're doing this work. So absolutely, yes. We're in MVP stage. Anyone can go to the Google Play Store, the App Store here in the US, download the app, hop on. We're screening manually because in the beginning, you got to do things that don't scale, right? We're screening manually. We're going to be incorporating some AI. We're going to be using AI tools to use disc profile assessments based on how you're showing up on social media, and using AI to actually make matches eventually, and to use prompts for conversations with people. So yeah, absolutely we can. Cool. All right. So applications close on Wednesday. The people who get the 12 founders who get selected, or 12 startups. I mean, I know the answer to this question because I just went through, but maybe I don't. Maybe it's changed. What do accepted startups get for participating in the accelerator program?
Yeah. So what you get? First of all, the core is that you get to participate in an accelerator that is an on-ramp to Techstars Services for Life. So that is the essential core. Along with the accelerator comes a $20,000 common equity investment to help you pay for the expenses, and a guaranteed offer of a $100,000 convertible note. That's your option to take or not take. If you've already raised a lot of capital and don't need it, skip it. If it would be helpful to you, it's got a cap that ranges between $3 and $5 million, depending on your fundraising to date. The default is $3 million, but if you've raised at a higher valuation, we can bump the cap to match up to a total of $5 million. And so, so there's an opportunity for $120,000 on the table. We do take an equity stake in the companies as part of going through the accelerator, the 6% common stake. That's basically the same as founder shares and gets diluted side by side with you. Consider us your extra founder for life. And that goes for the program and for the ongoing services. The note is just a market rate note. And the program itself, I mean, you're going to get amazing free office space from Samvid Ventures for the 3 months of the program, overlooking the UN building at the most beautiful accelerator I've ever seen. So thank you, Samvid, for that. And then you're going to get this entire program. It's surrounded by a lot of mentors. We're going to provide a lot of support, a lot of access, and then ultimately launching into a demo day to have you tell the story out to the world. It's not an investor event per se, but that material set that you create at the end, including the demo day, would be part of your package to then go out to investors thereafter, and then we'll help you on the process of raising capital. There's no guarantees of capital to follow, but we certainly teach the process of raising capital and provide some intros to some of the investors that surround the category that might be helpful to you. So that's the net of it. And then on the path in, the other tip whenever you're applying to a program is just know what we're looking for. So we're going to do 2 reads of the application. I'm reading for the standard Techstars stuff of what makes a great founding team, market size, traction, idea. And then the Samvid team is really looking for fit to theme. So pro tip to anyone listening to your show here, James, is that describe how you fit our themes, right? So don't just send in a generic application. The themes are transparently described on the homepage of our website. Tie yourself to one of the themes so that as the Samvid team is looking at it, they can clearly see why this is something that will impact the category. And so that's really what we look for when we're looking for great founders.
100%. So we have 5 minutes left. We have 2 questions. If we could answer those in like 30 seconds, and then I want to dig into something we were talking about before we started this, Keith and Gemma. So one question is, so first Dana says this is perfect for her startup. That's so good. So you'll be looking for Dana's application here shortly. Quick question from Eddie. Team learn the importance of building in public. How would Samvid Ventures help new startups navigate building in public for an audience that is more social, economic mobility, development type orgs? I guess that question assumes that you do that sort of thing.
We do. I mean, building in public is a great practice for founders in general. It's also, if we're going to get into talking about fundraising, a great way to attract mentors and investors that can help you solve the problems that are short-term most pertinent to your development as a company and your development as a founder and entrepreneur. One thing we understand is that working with a low-income audience typically means that the capacity to pay for a product or service is pretty limited. So you're going to need to look at B2B models or B2B2C models to understand when the payer is not the customer, how do you still understand the needs of the person who's purchasing and the effect on the person who's using any kind of product. So we're happy to talk through those kind of social enterprise models. We also think customer discovery is like the most important element for you to get started in your business. So I would encourage you to build in public, but also to talk to as many folks as possible about the problem that you're interested in and really study it in detail. The more you communicate, whether it's blogging or a newsletter or just joining webinars like this to talk about your content, the more exposure you'll have to different kinds of ideas and different dimensions or perspectives on the problem. So we think it's really important to capture that perspective and to build it into the fabric of your company.
Awesome. Okay, so we have 3 minutes left. If we could do this next question in 60 seconds, so we can at least get 2 minutes on that last thing, raising money that I would love to talk to you all about. So which stage is preferable for this program and are not tech-enabled concepts eligible?
Yeah, so we say we're stage agnostic, but what we mean by that is we do have things all the way from concept to millions of dollars of revenue. Concept stage should, if you have no traction at all, there should kind of be a reason for it, though. It's not just an idea stage. There are plenty of good resources to take your idea and take the first few steps with it without being in an accelerator. You want to be a little further along for an accelerator. The reason you wouldn't have any traction yet would be like you're building a med device and you can't get it until you build the thing, but you're testing your idea in some other ways. So pure concept's probably a little bit early. If you're committed to it full time already and are already talking to customers, maybe that's the beginning of it.
Okay. So someone's asking how they can connect with you. I just put some links up there. You can connect with Gemma on LinkedIn, Gemma Lenowitz there. I put up Keith's Twitter handles. So real quick, 2 minutes. Raising money. It's really hard raising funds right now. We're raising money right now. It's hard. Like we finished Techstars right when things were changing. We came out pre-product, pre-revenue in November. Just terrible all around. So we've had to take the time to pivot, change up our model. And now we're going back to market to raise money. And it's hard. Like what advice do you, in the last 60, 90 seconds here, what advice do you have for founders to differentiate themselves in this market and to actually raise capital post Techstars? Because it's really freaking hard.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess real quick, one thing is if you want to spend more than 60 seconds on it, tomorrow I happen to be leading the session for Techstars globally on getting ready to fundraise. It's a 3-part series, so you can find that at the Techstars website.
Techstars.com?
Yeah, Techstars.com. I'll see if I can quickly scramble and get a link in here, but you should be able to find the link to the general session. We'll put it on our website, just posted there.
Okay.
But real quickly, I mean, the ready, set, go is get your materials ready. Like really plan it before you go. The worst thing in the world is to trickle a slow raise and be in market forever and be half in, half out, and you're going to take meetings that you can get. You really want to be intentional about it. So pause first. And the two things you're going to do in the ready time frame is really figure out what you're doing as a business, and then figure out how to explain it. And so you want to get your material, like you have to have a strategy, the strategic plan of why this is a real business is critical. So if you're not building something real, you won't be able to fake it and pretend it's real, but then explaining it in a way that investors want to hear it, which is Googleable. Techstars has plenty of resources on it. I won't belabor. I'm talking about that tomorrow. Get your materials together. So 1-pager, forwardable email, investor deck, everything you need. And then be super intentional on who you're going after. So going back to your comments at the beginning on your ChatGPT hack, that's what you need to do. You need to find 100 targeted investors on why they would want to talk to you, because it's a numbers game, but it's a targeted numbers game. So those are the hacks, and then you go after it and make it a full-time job when you raise. Go quick, blitz the market with your materials, and be all in when you start. Oops. I think I lost audio here. I don't know if that's my end or yours, James.
No, it's mine. Sorry, I was muted. Apologize. So Keith, Tawana saying your LinkedIn requires your email.
Keith.camhi@techstars.com should get you in. Thanks for noticing that. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So Keith.camhi. Here's Keith on Twitter. All right, everybody. So we're at time. I have to hop because I'm going to be in Boulder, Colorado next week at the Conscious Entrepreneurship Summit. And I'm on the panel talking about resilience as a founder, because I am in the 99th percentile of resilient people on the planet. So I'm flying out, and we have a call to get ready for that. So thanks, everyone. You can join my Kabila community. You can go to joinkabila.com. Where you can learn how you can download our co-founder matching app, as well as join our community. We'll have a replay of this conversation there. Also, I showed how we use ChatGPT to send cold, customized, relevant emails to potential investors. So badass how we did that. So good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate y'all coming in, Gemma and Keith, on such short notice. Applications close on Wednesday. Get it in now. Follow them on social media. Follow them on LinkedIn. Mention that you came to this conversation. Go to the conversation Keith's doing tomorrow to understand how people are thinking about how to raise money in this environment. Because I'm telling you right now, it's really freaking hard. And it ain't for people with a weak stomach. So that's it. All right, everybody.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks so much. Cheers, everybody. So long.
Thanks a lot.